Letting it get the room.
They think that they went over next door and got some Kirkland. They're trying to tell us Patron, but they're really Patron. Did you watch them? I think they filled the bottle with something else, like some liquid nitrogen.
Real quick, for those who don't know, because some of you didn't go to ParaCon today, this is Scott. He owns Space Scout Radio. Those who listen to Space Scout Radio. If you don't, you're missing out. www.spacescoutradio.com. Every night, 7 days a week. James Tyson is weekend. Weekend Space Scout Radio.
And I'm not there tonight, so don't try to listen.
You're not.
I'm with you.
Anyway,
Let's go home too, Daddy.
go for it.
All right.
Go ahead.
No, don't. I'm not there.
Your space.
I like this intimacy that we have going on here. This is kind of cool. So I'm your final speaker of the night before we get to the round table. My name is Dave Scott. I'm a journalist and I'm an experiencer. The reason why I am up here tonight is to talk to each and every one of you. And I want you guys to have this kind of sink in, because my message is a little bit different than if you were earlier on with everyone else to where it is now. Okay? I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me for a little bit, so that way you know where I'm coming from. Maybe it resonates with some of you. I graduated broadcasting school in 1998. I spent 10 years as a journalist before getting out in 2007 because I wanted to know what it was like to have food on my table and gas in my tank at the same time. Radio doesn't pay at a certain price. It shouldn't have been too much to ask for, but it was. Since then, I had lived a happily boring life. That was until 2011. Outside of radio, I was an anonymous person, just going through life, with a great family, plenty of friends, great new career that allowed me to have some fun for the first time with travel and outdoors things. Previous to my own experiences taking off literally like a rocket ship into outer space, I worked in a haunted building, I lived in a haunted house, and I saw a grand total of 1 UFO. Growing up, you know, you sit around as kids, and you chat around the fireside, maybe you're camping or something. I'd always talk to my friends. You know, I always wanted to see a UFO, I always wanted to see a ghost, and I wanted to see Bigfoot before I died. Little did I know, fast forward 20 plus years, I would see all three. My life changed on December 13th, 2011. That night, I had no idea that I was going to sit on the roller coaster ride and be the only one on, front seat, front and center. What did I saw? I saw the angel of death in my mother's eyes. So, we were having Christmas as a family a little bit early because my daughter was going on a Christmas cruise with her grandparents on my ex-wife's side. So we gathered all my family together, and literally we had Christmas two weeks earlier. What happened then was at about 7:45 p.m., I went to give my mom a hug because my parents decided they were leaving. So in my house, if you can imagine, there's a doorway much like this. I came out of this doorway from my dining room going into my kitchen, where my kitchen was attached to my television room. And the family's all in the television room. We have about 25 people in my house. I walked through that doorway, and I had no idea my life was going to change. What happened was, as I walked through that doorway, there was no sound on the TV, and everybody was standing still. And I went to give my mom a hug. I put my arms around up like this to give my mom a hug. My mom was right here. And I looked into her eyes to give her a hug. And her eyes were jet black with something white where her pupils would be staring back at me. I knew from the instant I saw it that at that point I was looking into the eyes of the angel of death. I immediately got sick to my stomach, and I wanted to break down crying. And all of a sudden, I kind of looked at my mom, and I turned my head, and she gave me this look of shock, like, oh, you see me. And then she shook her head, and when she shook her head, her eyes went back to the beautiful blue that they were. all the sounds started around, and people were talking again. I gave my mother a hug, and I stormed off to my master bedroom where my wife came up and said, "What's going on?" I told my wife, I said, "I just saw the angel of death in my mother's eyes." After everybody had left the house, kids were in bed, my wife and I go into our living room where we got a couple of couches. We're just starting to learn this spiritual shit that is out there. And what happened then was she sat on one couch, I sat on the other. There's a table in between. We had a candle, a white candle sitting right in the middle. She goes, "Dave, why don't you relax? See if you can try and figure out what that was. Replay it in your mind." So I did. Problem is, I don't remember the next 38 minutes. I had no idea what channeling was. I had no idea what talking to spirits was like. Yes, I had a psychic friend, but that was my extent into the paranormal. The angel of death spoke through me. And this is exactly what he said, because I'm now able to recall it. He said, "I was not supposed to see what I saw, but because I did, he felt he owed me an explanation." My mother, who had been sick for the last number of years, battling colon cancer, battling breast cancer, okay? She was very ill. And we as a family unit were taking it for granted. And what I mean by that is, we would call up my mom. We thought my mom was pretending. So we would call up my mom. And, you know, you call up your parent, and they answer the phone, and they say, "Hello." Well, that's how my mother would answer the phone. And then you'd be like, "Hey, Mom, how you doing?" And she'd be like, "Oh, I'm so sick." And it's like, really? You're faking it again for sympathy? That's how callous we were. You know, I can say that now, okay? We were callous about it. And so what the angel of death had told me was that what my mother was going through was real. And here's where it gets interesting. He said, "If you as a family do not start showing your mother more love, attention, and respect, then I'm going to take her home." He didn't use heaven. He didn't use hell. He didn't use purgatory. He said, "I'm going to take her home." So we asked, as my wife was questioning through me, my wife was the journalist at this time, we asked, what can we do to keep my mom here? And what he said was, show her more love. As a family, you have to love her. You have to show her that love. You have to show her that respect that she deserves, because she's been through a lot. 5 years later, to this day, my mother is still alive. And I'm very proud of that, because what I did was I got on the phone with my sisters, my grandmother. I couldn't talk to my dad because he's a five senses guy. You know what I mean by that? Okay, eventually, he got it. Okay? And what we did was we started calling my mom, saying, "Hello, how are you? How's your day? How are you feeling?" And my mother to this day is still alive. And to the point that my mother was so weak, for her to lift this straw, as light as that is, would have been a chore for her. On June 23rd, 2013, the day my son was born, she lifted him up. And to this day, my son is now 3, he's a big kid, he's about 38 pounds, and she can still lift him up. This lady couldn't pick up a straw. Since that interaction with the angel of death, I met him again in 2012. He showed me the spirit of my wife's grandmother leaving her body. About 9 minutes before she took her final breath. I could feel them, like when I was in a room, we were in the hospice room, and I could feel them all around because I recognized that energy that was around my mom a number of months before. It was the exact same thing. So we walked into the room. We got the phone call that Grandma's going to die. There's no ifs, ands, about it. Grandma is going to die. We walk in that room, and the minute we crossed the border of the door, you could tell right then and there, the energy was the same. Everything that I recognized with my mother, I was recognizing in this room. And we watched Grandma struggling. And a couple hours later, I'm standing here, my wife is here, I got her, I'm consoling her. Grandma's feet are literally right here. And the entire time before that, I was taunting in my head, telepathically, come on, I know you're here. Show me something. We've met before. I know you're here. Come on, give me something. This is the way I'm talking in my head. It sounds funny, but this is the truth. And then about 9 minutes before Grandma breathed her final breath, it was like he turned to me and said, okay, idiot, I'm going to show you something. And I'm standing here, right by Grandma's feet are right here. I'm looking down at her. And I watched her spirit.
I was gonna start closing stuff, but I didn't.
And her spirit sat there for about 2-3 seconds, and I watched it. It was a cloud of white sitting that high, right above her chest. And it was like the angel of death was telling me at that point, is this what you want to see? Is this what it's all about? Here you go. And I watched that spirit shoot right through the ceiling. All of a sudden, all the energy in the room changed. He was gone. The funny part about that is, I used to have very bad anxiety attacks. I suffer from depression and anxiety. I'm very vocal about it. And ever since that day, I have not had an anxiety attack of dying or death. Paranormal feelings started happening during this time when I started sensing spirits around. I started with an energy dealer. His name was Pascal. I was working with him a couple days a week. He made it his job to help clear my blocks and open me up to speak. Now at that time, I thought it was kind of cool. I was going to be talking to ghosts. But as time and the energy moved on, Pascal kept telling me that his personal guides were telling me to start working closer with extraterrestrials. I fought that as long as I could. Who the hell wants to deal with aliens? Seriously. One of the exercises Pascal and I worked on was channeling. And the more I opened up, and the more I started channeling, the less the spirits were coming across, and the more I was getting feelings of extraterrestrial beings coming forward. I didn't want this. Aliens scared me, as they should. I'd seen all the movies. You've seen them too. The only book I've never finished is Whitley Strieber's Communion, because it freaked me out too much. But the aliens weren't going away. Going into 2013, I noticed that almost every time I went outside, I started seeing UFOs. From orbs flying across the sky to the ones that I like to call the strobers. If you've never seen a strober, this is kind of what they do. Is they look like small satellites up in the sky. And all of a sudden they do this, almost like a power up, where they, all of a sudden that little light gets really, really bright in the sky and then disappears. I didn't know until I had Wilbur Smith on, literally on day 4 of Spaced Out Radio, that satellites didn't have lights. So what could be causing the power-ups? The sightings kept increasing, which also included a black triangle over my house. Daytime, nighttime, dusk, it didn't matter, the UFOs were everywhere. One of the best stories I have is being about 5 miles from home. We were in a forest behind a friend's house doing an investigation. When we came out, a friend pointed in the sky, where way up in the sky there was this translucent orb just sitting there. The skeptic in me, because I try and be level-headed with all of this, said, it's a weather balloon. It's what it looked like to me. I've never seen a translucent orb before. I'm thinking weather balloon. 8 of us saw it. We watched it for about half an hour at about 5,000 to 7,000 feet in the air. The orb never moved. It just sat there. The day was quite windy. Even though there wasn't a cloud in the sky, it was one of those days where it was quite windy. You'd expect a weather balloon to move. It didn't. When my wife and I got home, I immediately went outside because I wanted to see where the orb was. I looked up, I looked around, didn't see anything. And then I looked straight above my house. that orb at 5,000 to 7,000 feet was sitting right above my house. And it sat there for the next 3 hours before it slowly started moving north and then disappeared. I will get more on the UFOs and the ETs in a little bit. In one of the channeling sessions that I had in 2013, I was told that I was going to have a Sasquatch encounter. I thought it was going to happen in July, but when July rolled around and nothing happened, I wondered about this. The skeptic in me started creeping out again. September 10th, 2013, the same force behind the friend's house that I just explained where we saw the orb coming out. Well, that's when my friend and I came across this broken tree at about 8.5 feet high that it was snapped. A few minutes later, we felt like we were being watched. We came across this weird feeling. There was a tree about 100 yards or 100 feet in front of us. That's not very far. So if you're looking due north, like you guys are looking at me and I'm looking at you, okay, there's this tree, and we could see this happen. And we could see the face. We could make out the face. There was this big fir tree that was causing a big shadow. And here was this face leaning out, looking at us, then pulling back. We could see the shoulder. For those of you who had forest encounters, I'm sure you understand exactly what I'm talking about. That's why I was smiling earlier, Tyler, when you were doing the peering thing during your story, okay? We watched this for about 5 minutes. I said to my buddy, I said, that's a Sasquatch. And he goes, no way. And I'm like, that's a Sasquatch. That's what they do. They hide and they peer. And we could make out the face. We could make out the shoulder. Being spiritual, okay, we didn't have cameras. We weren't taking photos. I'll tell you right now, the last thing you think of when you have an experience, if you've never experienced anything, and who's heard the people, show of hands, who say, oh, I would have caught that photo, I would have pulled my iPhone out, or I would have done something to grab that picture. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't, because when you see something that isn't supposed to exist, your mind cannot comprehend what you are going through. And then if you add spirituality to it, it doesn't work. You can't combine the two. So my friend suggests that, he says, look, let's lead them to their forest, let's go. So he turns down the trail at which we came. I start to turn, and the first guy was at 12 o'clock, the next one was at 1:30. I start to turn and I see this tree branch start shaking vigorously. And then I saw the biggest thing I had ever seen walk right through where that tree branch was shaking. It was big, I'm going to say 350, 400 pounds. It had no neck. Its fur was brownish red. So the entire right profile and the back. And I knew it was time to leave. But I will say this, we did not feel fear whatsoever. It was just making its presence. About 2 to 3 weeks, in March of 2014, I had my second awakening. I went to bed because I've been working with Pascal to open me up. I went to bed. I'm someone who doesn't remember my dreams. I don't know if any of you are like that. Show of hands. Any of you who forget and doesn't remember their dreams? That's the way I am. Okay? So I end up going to bed about 1:30 and 2 o'clock in the morning because I was literally spending hours upon hours of time trying to figure out what I personally was going through. And what happened there was I ended up waking up and I was standing in a white room, complete about this size. All the walls were bright white. I could not see any doors. I could not see a ceiling. And even though I knew the walls were there, I could not see them. There was nobody in this room at that point except me. And they, whoever the hell they are, started talking to me. They said, Dave, we no longer want you researching anything to do with the paranormal, UFOs. We don't want you reading books. We don't want you watching television shows. We don't want you joining any paranormal groups. Get off the forums online that you were chatting on.